baddest.
You gonna be big and muscular. Somebody's skinny look like Bruce Lee gonna snap your fucking shit up.
These cocky bodybuilders think they can push ordinary people around without consequences. Most of the time, no one dares to stand up to these steroid-fueled bullies.
I'm not gonna choke you out now, boy.
But sometimes karma steps in and puts them in their place. In this video, you'll see what happens when dumb jocks finally face real consequences and learn a hard lesson. This is Karma Land. Here we go. This pumped-up beast thought he could take on an arm wrestling legend. The great Devin Lorat tried hard not to fall for the dumb jock's provocations. But the bodybuilder wouldn't stop shamelessly humiliating the veteran in front of the fans. The strongman was so sure his muscles would crush Lorat that before the event even started, he attempted to scare him off. Yet once the bout began, the so-called musclehead turned out to be nothing more than a screeching little girl. Shifting a pro's arm was harder than moving a mountain. Devin Lorat toyed with him like a child, before effortlessly reducing the arrogant bodybuilder to a humbled state for good. And then there's this steroid-fueled beast who believed his bulging muscles and tattooed, mutilated body made him invincible. Zdravko Tarnagiev is pure arrogance in human form. This insolent bodybuilder strutted into the fight with unbridled confidence and high-handedness, in stark contrast to his very reserved professional opponent. On top of that, he, like a sneaky rat, grabbed his opponent by the throat, publicly humiliating the modest fighter. He entered the bout as if it were an easy walk. That cocky grin never left the face of this tattoo master's draft, even in the cage. However, once the fight started, his opponent found it easier to beat him than to hit a punching bag, and karma made sure that the arrogant prick paid a brutal price. Hafthor Björnsson became famous for his unimaginable strength and the physique of an ancient Greek god. Apparently, along with his immense strength, he had gained immense self-confidence.
Don't fucking mess with me.
He had the audacity to disrespect none other than Conor McGregor himself.
I seen you work a little bit with McGregor.
McGregor?
Yeah.
There was a time where I had to grab with him, where I felt like, okay, I can crush this guy.
However, by challenging UFC fighter Gunnar Nelson, the jock had no idea he was signing his own death warrant. The moment the fight began, the jiu-jitsu black belt wasted no time showing the steroid idiot the full range of his techniques. He coiled his limb around him like an anaconda, almost ripping the giant's arm clean off. In the end, the pro fighter brutally punished the bodybuilder, showing him that muscles don't matter in a real fight. This chemically enhanced bubble named Bob Sapp not only had a reputation as a dirty rat, but even dared to challenge the great Mike Tyson.
Hey, let me call you Kid Dynamite. You mess with me, I'll put your fuse out.
With every opponent weighing less than his steroid-pumped ass, it's no wonder his ego skyrocketed after each easy win. This time, Sapp was up against a real-life Chinese panda in human form, a fighter named Aerogili. The cocky jock clearly underestimated the heavyset fighter, and before the fight even started, he arrogantly threatened the Celestial Warrior, even attacking him in his overconfidence.
Versus our Regala, Changsha, China, Road FC 32, July 2nd. Victory never tasted so sweet.
Once the referees started the fight, it was clear the chubby fighter saw the jock as nothing but a quick snack. Next, Aragele, with fists as sharp as Chinese chopsticks, began teaching the arrogant rat some manners. In the end, Arigele found the giant's off button right on his face, delivering a brutal punishment. Check out this cocky musclehead. It all started the day before when this dumb jock stormed into a jiu-jitsu gym and attacked the first person he saw. He didn't know that his target was a coach who promptly mauled him like a ragdoll, delivering a couple of fatherly slaps in the process. The coach proved that bulging muscles are nothing compared to years of finely honed technique. After that, the loser was kicked out in disgrace. But the scumbag returned the next day, pretending he wanted to apologize. That handshake turned out to be a Trojan horse, masking a true rat act. Then the coach put that overconfident fool through a hellish torture session to re-educate him. Not satisfied with that, the jerk decided to pick an even weaker opponent. But a fragile girl then put that hulking musclehead down like a wild child, punishing the cat even faster than her coach. When the giant came to, he lunged at the person who had helped him, hoping to take down at least someone, only to be humiliated and punished once again, finally realizing his own insignificance. Next up, we have a Russian strongman, one of the leading powerhouses in Russia. Mikhail Koklyaev, after shattering countless strength records, decided he could conquer the MMA world.
Высокий профессионализм демонстрирует нам Кокляев.
To prove it, he challenged the fighting legend Alexander Emelianenko, the younger brother of Fedor. Before the fight, the cocky bodybuilder even dared to provoke the pro fighter. But when the bout began, his confidence quickly vanished. The bell rang, and for a while, thanks to his sheer size, the strongman managed to hold his own. But as soon as the pro started fighting with full force, that pile of muscles quickly turned into a pile of crap. Next, this overconfident guy strutted into the boxing gym and challenged the very best, thinking he'd crush his opponent with ease. But once the musclehead stepped into the ring, a seasoned professional boxer turned his challenge into a brutal torture session. All those muscles he'd built over his life proved utterly useless, as he was completely demolished. Then, a gigantic bodybuilder decided to test his strength against UFC legend Dustin Poirier.
Ready to go? Let's get it done.
At first, the strongman flaunted his size, mocking the much smaller Poirier. They even dabbled in what was supposed to be a friendly spar, but for the bodybuilder, Dustin was like a fly to an elephant. This bout was scarier for Poirier than even a fight with Khabib, because it's no easy feat to hold down a gorilla. However, the bodybuilder's stamina soon ran out, and Dustin quickly took advantage of it. He executed an armbar on the massive bodybuilder, proving that you can't underestimate a UFC champion. This Russian bodybuilder, Mikhail Sidorichev, tipping the scales at 150 kilograms, had the audacity to challenge a schoolboy named Kanamir. Underestimating the young boy, Mikhail arrogantly started taunting him, thinking he could get away with it. Their fight resembled a duel between a grandfather and his grandson. As soon as the bell rang, it was clear to everyone that Kantamir wasn't just aiming for victory. He wanted to rip the arrogant scumbag's hand off. In the end, he gave the cocky giant a brutal lesson, leaving him forever humbled. Mariusz Pudzianowski, a name that still echoes as one of the most famous strongmen in the world. After conquering 5 titles as the world's strongest man, the cocky Pudzianowski decided to kick down the door and step into the world of combat sports. By throwing down the gauntlet to the kickboxing legend, none other than Peter Graham. Pudzianowski had only sealed his own fate. Barely a second had passed after the bell, and the fighters, like wild dogs, charged at each other with ferocity. For a brief moment, it looked like Pudzianowski was treating Peter like an additional protein snack in his diet. Once back on his feet, Graham dove in like a hawk. Eventually, he sent the jock to the phantom zone, showing once again that in a fight, it's skill, not strength, that truly counts. This dumb bodybuilder's ego had climbed all the way to the top of Mount Olympus. Clearly, the bodybuilder's brain, flooded with chemicals, couldn't think straight.
Try MMA, the ultimate weapon, capable of killing any man? Yeah, they would never allow me into the ring.
With all his arrogance, he fearlessly challenged UFC fighter Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Seth over there. I wanted him over there.
He didn't even shake his hand, which turned out to be a fatal mistake for the idiot.
Best of luck to you. Hey, you too.
Hey, you too.
Right away, Wonderboy began teaching the bodybuilder the true wonders of martial arts. He brutally punished the arrogant rascal, shutting his filthy mouth for good. Finally, this Russian bodybuilder decided to assert himself by choosing a guy who weighed much less as his opponent. However, the pro was determined to show that technique beats brute strength. At the start, the overconfident jock dominated with his sheer size, making his opponent look like a helpless child rather than a fighter. But as soon as the professional unleashed his full power, the musclehead got hit with a brutal barrage, turning that massive build into a heap of garbage, and soon sending him to work on his most important muscle, his brain.
This massive jock came into professional sport thinking his muscles would intimidate anyone. His first opponent was so much smaller that the audience feared for the guy's life. But once the fight began,
This goes the distance.
Heavyweights, but you already figured that out.
only then did the strongman realize that a real fight is far more complicated than flexing in front of girls.
They're not beautiful punches, but if they hit all sorts of damage.
But it was too late because the professional sent the bodybuilder straight to the shadow realm.
Not at all.
Oh, big right hand punch, and that's it.
That is it.
Stopping the fight.
Right here, plus 93.
This guy spent his entire life building muscle and now stepped into a fight against an opponent half his size. The bodybuilder believed his huge frame and steel muscles guaranteed victory, but he had no idea he was facing a real professional. When the fight started, the pro proved that in combat, intelligence matters more than strength.
Come on!
Oh no.
30 seconds, come on!
In the end, he easily exhausted the giant and left him completely drained.
Oh, not again! But these MMA guys, it's on another level, man.
This self-confident giant walked into a boxing gym and challenged the best fighter there, thinking he'd destroy him easily. But once the bodybuilder stepped into the ring, the professional boxer put him through a real torture session. The muscles he'd built his whole life turned out to be useless, and he was completely dismantled. This huge bodybuilder decided to test himself against UFC legend Dustin Poirier. At first, the strongman showed his physical superiority, mocking the smaller Poirier. They agreed to a friendly sparring session, but for the bodybuilder, Dustin felt like a fly next to an elephant. For Poirier, this clash looked even scarier than his fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov because it's not easy holding down a gorilla like that. But soon the bodybuilder's stamina ran out and Dustin immediately capitalized. He executed an armbar on the giant bodybuilder and proved you should never underestimate a UFC champion.
That's good. That's a good one. I don't want to put
In this sparring session, they decided to find out who's stronger, an overpumped gorilla or a professional boxer. The strongman was sure his muscles would do all the work, but against a professional, it became clear his body was only good for mirror selfies. Throughout the entire fight, the bodybuilder couldn't land a single punch and was shamefully sent to the Hall of Shame.
Next up in this battle of youth versus vast experience was the fight between future UFC champion Andrei Arlovski, nicknamed Pitbull, and 16-year-old debutant Vyacheslav Datsik. At that time, Arlovski was already considered a very dangerous fighter, making the challenge for Datsik nearly impossible.
Giving his other opponent the game plan.
When the fight began, the colossal gap in experience was clear for everyone to see, and Pitbull delivered a total execution on his inexperienced opponent.
Wow! They're slugging it out of here. Things seem to have gotten personal. And a big kick by Arlovski.
The entire first round, Pitbull tormented his victim, completely dominating the fight. Datsik looked more like a giant punching bag than a worthy opponent.
Yeah, it looks like it because he's in the... Oh, look at him!
But just moments later, the debutante unexpectedly sent Arlovski into the realm of Morpheus.
And the guy went down. He's still down. He's going to be a hard guy to beat.
This schoolboy's name is Evgeny Kolesnikov. He is only 17 years old, and he has already made his debut at a professional level. One of his first opponents was a 26-year-old fighter named Abubakar Mammadov. Therefore, all the spectators thought that Mammadov would easily smash the rookie. Their fight began, and the seasoned fighter immediately started demonstrating his experience, landing powerful blows to the schoolboy's chin.
Мне кажется, Колесник, что да, вот это попадание,
And apparently believing that the youngster wouldn't be able to seize the upper hand, Mammadov began to mockingly provoke Kolesnikov. But Kolesnikov wasn't about to tolerate that, and he decided to prove that schoolboys are worth something too, so he began adjusting the cocky fighter's beard with his sharp fists.
Видно, что у Абубакара Добряка есть перестроить то, что надо забирать очки.
Да, иногда бывает такое, что ты понимаешь, что ты сильнее, хорошо попал.
However, even that didn't make Mammadov any humbler as he continued his parade of mockery. And considering it the last straw, Kolesnikov decided to demonstrate the law of strength with his fists.
Минус большой, что он очень эмоциональный, его можно легко вывести и за счет этого быть
человеком. Должен подсказывать, что попал, да? Не то, что плотное попадание, которое мы видели, когда он завалился.
In the end, the schoolboy won by unanimous decision and forever humbled the more experienced Mammadov. In 2014, a 17-year-old named Tenshin Nasukawa made his professional debut, and he'd eventually become a global superstar. Back then, the unknown school kid faced Tomo Arimatsu, who was 9 years his senior. When the fight began, Nasukawa immediately started pulverizing Tomo with a ballet-like grace. Never one to waste time, the young prodigy didn't linger in the clinch and soon delivered his most savage high kick yet. The next fight took place in Russia, where this MMA fighter decided to challenge a teenager to a brutal showdown, thinking that he would easily defeat him. And when their fight began, the more experienced fighter immediately started aggressively attacking his young opponent as if he were a bottle of vodka. However, the rookie immediately began using his hands to prove that he shouldn't be underestimated because of his young age. In the end, the kid won and proved that he shouldn't be underestimated just because he can't buy beer at the supermarket. This young TikToker's name is Danya Malokin, and he decided to make his debut in the ring to gather not only thousands of likes, but also thousands of spectators in the arena. And his first opponent was the more experienced Ajmal Khan. Their fight began, and Khan's face seemed to turn into a lightning rod for the fists of young Malokin.
Going downstairs, stabbing to the body. Big right hand from Danya, set down on that one.
Time and time again, the TikToker proved that he could not only collect millions of likes, but also deliver fierce combos.
Khan with a decent right cross, overhand right to left hook to uppercut.
And just moments later, the kid unleashed a machine gun barrage on the older Khan, forcing the ref to stop this beating of a pensioner.
Winds up the right hand to left hook. Khan gets clobbered again. It's good night, Irene.
In the end, Malokin won and showed what TikTokers are capable of. Malokin has also challenged Sigma. Leave your predictions for the outcome of the match in the comments.
Mighty Mo is a real killer in the ring because he can send anyone to the other world with his nuclear fists. But one day, the matchmakers decided to give Mo a light snack and put him up against a little Thai guy named Kauklai Kennersing. There was a ridiculous 110-pound weight gap between them, roughly 2.5 Hasbollas. No wonder everyone in the arena thought Mo would steamroll his opponent. The bell rang, and Mo, wishing to quickly turn this comedy into a tragedy, began to shoot his tiny opponent with large caliber ammunition. Their uneven duel was more like a boss fight in a video game at the impossible level, because the Titan wasn't taking any damage. But then, the little fighter apparently saved up his ultimate and decided to prove that he shouldn't be underestimated by delivering an express delivery of a spectacular high kick. This burger giant is called Akabono, and one day he was served Remy Bunyaski on a square plate. Their fight began, and Akabono immediately started whetting his appetite by hunting down his opponent. Bunyaski tried to turn Akabono into a chop like Gordon Ramsay. But his punches through the cholesterol corset had no effect. So the slimmer fighter decided to tear down the skyscraper. This giant is trying to flex on a guy who's literally 2 times smaller than him. And when this pathetic fatso couldn't even lift the tiny fighter, he started slapping his back like a full-blown Karen meltdown. But the pink-haired dandelion didn't waste a second. He delivered a public execution right on the spot. Then came the Thai butterbean, who couldn't survive a brutal three-kick combo from a tiny Muay Thai striker. A combo that sent him dreaming about double cheeseburgers and ice-cold Coke. Giant Hongman Choi was once a real menace in MMA. And in fall 2015, he was matched with a Japanese mini warrior named Carlos Toyota. Carlos blasted forward like a Toyota Supra in Fast and Furious 3, ready to send the Korean giant straight to the auto service station. Next up is the filthy walking chemical laboratory, Bob Sapp. That night he faced an opponent weighing 200 pounds less, so naturally he was chill, fully convinced the win was already guaranteed. But once the bell rang, the enormous monster was on the floor in under a minute. Offended, the juiced-up ogre tried to home run his tiny opponent, breaking every rule in the book. Even the referee caught some smoke. But Karma's apostles didn't let that slide and wrote a new chapter in his destiny. A skull-splitting elbow of justice. This massive woman thought her opponent was her biggest threat, but then the gravity stepped up. She was offered water to rehydrate, but she refused, because only Coke could save her. This audacious steroid ambassador seriously believed he could out-grapple Dustin Poirier.
He might get up, let's see.
Just because of his steel-plated muscles. But Poirier quickly taught him why you don't mess with a UFC champion. Then there was this pumped-up gym bro so full of himself that he was telling a small boxer to hit harder, acting like an OG gangster. Cocky as ever, he even entered the ring without headgear, rocking a chain, not taking his opponent seriously at all. He had no clue the weak little dude in front of him was a professional boxer. So the giant kept clowning him, thinking his punches would feel like mosquito bites. But eventually, the little guy got sick of the rascal's nasty attitude and delivered a brutal, life-changing lesson in respect. This psycho is Alexander Orlov. He attacks regular people on the street and deliberately picks weaker opponents. And this beer-bellied bully clearly believed that his size advantage would be enough against a smaller opponent. But just 16 seconds in, he took a warning shot straight to the beard. But that cocky heavyweight clearly didn't realize who was being hunted. Instead, he charged forward at his opponent, trying to look all intimidating. So the mini butcher from Bay Harbor had to inject the wild hog with a heavy dose of tranquilizer. But even that didn't sober up this budget Peter Griffin. So he had no choice but to throw the giant gingerbread man straight into the oven.
Залетает Азиз Камалов, вырубает хлопка. И теперь уже действительно паршиво. Кажется, что после этого одерживает Курт Азиз Камалов.
Now let's shift to Thailand, where yet another cocky giant thought he could snatch the crown of Muay Thai legend Saenchai. And when the fight kicked off, this jacked monster unloaded his entire arsenal. But the Muay Thai god wasn't about to let the fight go that way. He snapped out his left that sent the big guy's ass crash-testing the canvas. Somehow, this colossal giant managed to stand back up, basically signing his own death sentence. Because after that, Saenchai had no choice but to empty the whole clip of deadly strikes. This skyscraper of a street fighter thought he'd wipe the floor with his tiny opponent. He was absolutely convinced he'd squash this little bug with zero effort. But the moment the fight kicked off, the small warrior charged straight at the Titan. Then, this dollar store MGK lookalike started spamming long-range kicks. Terrified of catching dwarfism just by being too close, and probably that's why, this Viking acted like victory was already in the bag. But then Baby Hulk brought the hammer down. He sent the overconfident giant back to Earth and proved once again that size doesn't win fights.
You know where it's going?
At an official urban boxing event, the real matchup of David versus Goliath finally went down. And this self-absorbed giant genuinely believed he'd cruise to an easy victory, counting on his elite body stats. But the tall guy's barn-style looping punches never even touched the mini Kratos' head. So the small guy, after surviving No Nut November and gathering all his masculine energy, decided it was time to finish the giant.
Ce knockout! A reușit lupul! O lovitură cu brațul drept în capul marocanului și este...
The next overconfident sucker who decided a 60-year-old man would be an easy snack was this illegitimate child of Gorlock. The moment the bell rang, that Thai blobfish used the massive gap not only in the age but in size too, in order to seize total control. Realizing the veteran's sharp shots couldn't pierce his cholesterol shield, the cocky walrus tried to humiliate the old man. But the veteran wasn't about to tolerate dirty tricks from a brat young enough to be his grandson. Gathering his last reserves of strength, he threw a living funeral for this greenhorn with his fists. Then he literally drilled a shot straight into the liver and sent the reckless pup straight to the disciplinary district. This Russian promotion must have gotten bored of fair matchups, because they threw one of their prospects against an old man from the crowd. But no one expected that once the bell rang, this Russian Homer Simpson lookalike would start devouring the child like a donut. Then he delivered what felt like a classic Soviet-style father and son conversation. But the youngster got back up and made a fatal mistake. Because from that moment on, the veteran started destroying the rising star as if he was a pharmacy that refused him a discount. In the end, the whippersnapper cowardly surrendered, and Grandpa proved he still got plenty of fight left in him. Vaktangi Akupatse is a true legend of Georgian arm wrestling who, despite his age and physical disability, was crushing absolutely everyone in his path. But at the 2024 World Championship qualifiers, the veteran ran into a genuinely disrespectful opponent, Bekbosun Toktosun.
The athlete's not listed for the start of the match. Now we're in the hook.
This whippersnapper wasn't just packing explosive power, he was packing zero honor.
Inside, no.
Before the fight, the cheeky youngster blatantly trampled on the elder's dignity, ignoring every ounce of respect shown to him. But once the grip locked in, the veteran instantly snapped the punk's arm like a dry wheat straw, leaving him with absolutely no chance. And even after such a humiliating defeat, that arrogant smirk never left the kid's face. After steamrolling every opponent that followed, Bekbosun clawed his way back into the title race. But Karma's apostles weren't satisfied with such outcome, and in the championship final, they set up a rematch with the Georgian veteran. Bekbosun, fully confident he'd leave the disabled old man with no shot this time, kept mocking him. But the second the referee gave the signal, Grandpa showed the pup that there are levels in this game.
And we have the go, and we go into the hook. Vaktangi, with a few surges, takes the lead and go to the pad.
Brutally punishing the brat for the second time, the Georgian pioneer captured World Championship gold and proved that age means absolutely nothing to him. These overconfident rookies figured the old coach wouldn't stand a chance against young thugs. So they called him out. But experience can't be lost, unlike teeth. Within moments, the veteran started showing the first loudmouth exactly who's boss. Then, wasting no time, Grandpa stepped in against the second hothead and made him share the fate of Lindsey Vonn. In the end, after brutally spanking two arrogant youngsters in one night, the old man proved that in boxing, technique is everything. In this fight, a young gang leader apparently tried to show off in front of his hood and boldly challenged an experienced Korean veteran. But once the action started, the Korean grandpa began slicing the dirty gangster up like sashimi with his fists. He was even dodging the kid's attacks like Putin does when asked about negotiations with Zelensky. This could have gone on, but seemingly Grandpa was running late for the early bird special, so he detonated a vicious right hand and ended the night on the spot.
Winner!
The next young daredevil who thought he could expose the seasoned veteran's skills was this sucker. Even though all fight long, the grandpa was clearly holding back from beating his young opponent too hard. After one cocky smirk, the old man decided to teach the brat a lesson and show him real dad power. This youngster named Adeton Freitas believed his massive size would allow him to destroy anyone. So he called out the greatest Muay Thai fighter of all time, none other than Saenchai, who in his prime was not only a nightmare for the entire elite of the sport, but also built one of the greatest resumes in history. But despite Saenchai's legendary past, age made itself felt in this bout. From the opening seconds, the towering Freitas gave the icon no chance to get close, blasting him with heavy artillery kicks and terrifying punches. But around the midpoint, the cocky Adeton Freitas, being fully convinced of his victory, mockingly tried to sweep Saenchai. That clearly didn't sit well with the legend. Moments later, the enraged Thai began ruthlessly outclassing that scoundrel without mercy. And without dragging the night out, Saenchai with his fist made the day done for Adeton. In this video, you witnessed those very bodybuilders getting exactly what they deserved.
Let's go, Devin! Come on, Adam!
Give this video a like if you want a new part.
Я совершенно забыл те уроки, которые все.
Да, тяжелое положение, оказывается, Михаил.
Я очень
Сумеет ли он
сомневаюсь.
подняться? Да,
This was Karmaland. Thanks for watching.
Não,